Hi guys, and welcome to Legacy Coaching. My name's Clarry, and pretty much what I'm going to be doing here is talking about some of the questions and answers that we go through on a day-to-day basis at the gym, and just trying to share them because I'm pretty confident that the stuff that'll probably cross your mind more than once if you're the type of person to be watching this. So today's topic is going to be on principles and methods, and it's a conversation that I've had a couple of times recently in the gym floor, and we can pretty much apply it to a few different things, whether it's our strength training, our metabolic training, or just our nutrition as well. So what we're going to talk about today is nutrition, and just sort of go through that just briefly, and then we'll go and dive a little bit deeper in a later episode, along with the strength and metabolic training. So the big key here is just really getting an understanding of what the difference is between a principle and a method, and how to spot it, and just to give you a bit of understanding and a little bit more confidence when it comes to the nutrition side of things. So what I mean by this is it's actually the best way that I've heard it, and sort of what stuck for me, was a little rhyme that goes, methods are many, principles are few, methods may change, but principles never do. And how we apply this to nutrition is that every diet you've ever heard of is a method of eating. That's all it is. It's a method of, deciding what foods to eat, maybe when, how much, and so on. Which is why things can get very confusing, and why you can feel very deflated when you try and follow a particular diet and it may not work for you. Now, let's just, for example, say that your goal is fat loss. The principles around losing fat or, dropping body weight are pretty simple. They're not easy, but they're fairly simple, which basically means you need to be consistent with what you're doing and you need to be in a calorie deficit. Now, being in a calorie deficit is hugely important here. If you're not in a calorie deficit, you can't lose weight. And I know we're pretty amazing as human beings, but we can't create something from nothing. So if we're not eating enough, we can't grow. Same thing goes for losing weight. If we're eating too much, so if our calorie input is higher than our output, then we're going to gain weight, whether we're wanting to or not. And that's really important to understand. So that's the principles of fat loss there, for example, is that you need to be in a calorie deficit, and we need to be ruthless with the basics and be consistent with these sorts of things. The methods for doing that would be whichever diet you choose to prescribe to, whether it's a vegan diet, whether it's a ketogenic diet, whether it's paleo, whatever, it really doesn't matter. That's just a method of getting into a calorie deficit. And some advice that I give sometimes, and I know it's really frustrating, but it's for a reason, is that every diet works, just not every diet works for you. And that could be for a multitude of reasons. So when it comes to dieting and the nutrition side of things, we need to understand just the principles behind it first. And I believe I just heard it the other day, it was Ralph Waldo Emerson who had this big long quote, and I'm probably going to butcher it, but he says that there are a million and a few methods, and a man that masters the methods without an understanding of the principles is doomed to fail. Whereas once you understand the principles, the methods don't matter. And that pretty much directly applies to this. If we don't stay in a calorie deficit, you can't lose weight, and it doesn't matter what diet you're following. If you're eating too much, it won't happen. So that's when, you'll get people that chop and change and they get really frustrated and they feel like they're spinning their tires a little bit. We just need to take a step back, look at it as a whole, and maybe look at your week's worth of eating and say, hey, look, we're actually eating a little bit more than you realize. So we're not actually sticking to that calorie deficit like we'd planned. We just need to make an adjustment. And that's all we need to do. We need to just stick to those principles and we'll be fine. I want to keep these fairly brief. I know I can ramble on a little bit, so we're going to leave it there. But I want this to be a bit of a series where I answer these sorts of questions and dive a little bit deeper later on. So if you've got anything that you've sort of having trouble with in the gym, whether it's with the eating side of things or strength training, whatever, flick your questions through to us at clarry@legacycoaching.com.au. You can find us on our website. We're on Facebook and Instagram as well. Instagram's a pretty popular method as well. So give us a shout. We'd love to help you, and hopefully you enjoy this. We'd like to make quite a few more of them soon. Thanks, guys.